Welcome to Chapter 5, continuing our discussion in measurement. We're going to be looking at section 5.2 in our book, and we're going to have the singular objective of converting units within the U.S. customary system. So a lot of you will be familiar with these units. When we talk about a unit, we're talking about basically just something to compare something to, so that we understand what we're talking about. If we have a piece of sheetrock and it's 4 foot by 8 foot, well, we can have the standard of 1 foot of being able to say, okay, that's 4 of those by the standard of 8 1-foot measurements the other direction. Or if we're talking about inches, or we're talking about pounds or gallons. So the U.S. system of units that we are familiar with, which is a standard system of units, has some basic conversion factors built into them. So we can look down here and see that 1 foot equals 12 inches and a yard equals 3 feet, or we could further convert that down to 36 inches. There's something called a rod when we're working in some of the technical trades, and there's a mile. You can also see liquid capacities up here, and these are in weight measurement down here. So if we're looking at converting something, and you look at this and you go, oh gosh, I can get that. 3 yards equals how many feet? Well, we know when we look over here that 1 yard has 3 feet, so that means that 3 yards must have 9 feet, because 3 yards times 3 feet is 9 feet. And that's great when we're looking at something or looking at something that is familiar and has fairly easy numbers to be able to calculate. But if we're looking at converting from bushels to pounds, or if we're looking at converting from miles to inches, that conversion might not be as easy. So I'm going to familiarize you with a method called the unity fraction method. You saw a little bit of this in the last video at the very end of the section, and unity fractions are going to be really important in understanding how to convert some of these measurement units without trying to be confused of, okay, does that go up here, or where does that go, how many is that one? And so the very first step in converting a number from one unit to another number is to set up a unity fraction, and we're going to look at what a unity fraction is. And so to be able to set up a unity fraction, you need to be able to understand that converting from a distance from yards to units, or to foot units, from yard units to foot units, you need to understand that 1 yard equals 3 feet. Well, you can say there's either 1 yard in every 3 feet, or you can say there's 3 feet in every yard. And the important thing to be able to see is this specifically, is that we have yards up top here, and we have feet down on the bottom, and in this one we have feet on the top and yards on the bottom. Well, it's equal no matter what. Both of these are the same thing. It says that 1 yard equals 3 feet. And so it's a unity fraction because they're both equal to 1. They both equal 1 yard. If you actually sat there and did the measurement of pulling out a tape measure of 3 feet and taking a yardstick and putting them side by side, they would be the same. So that's a unity fraction. So if you want to convert the distance of 4 yards to foot units, so how many feet are in 4 yards, then you can set up the problem to have the unity fraction that cancels yards and replaces it with feet. Now I'm going to extend a little bit more of what they have on here up here, and I am going to say I have 4 as over 1, and so that's 4 yards because that's multiplied times yards, and remember what I said, the unit over 1, unless it says that it's per or that it's a fraction. So that's 4 yards. We're going to multiply that times a unity fraction. Now I could say either 1 yard per 3 feet or 3 feet per yard, but I'm going to select 3 feet per yard because that puts yards up top for me to cancel and yards on bottom for me to cancel. So I know that yards divided by yards equals 1, and to continue out the math on this, I can say 4 times 3 is 12, and the unit that remains is feet, and 1 times 1 times 1 is 1, or 12 feet are how many feet are inside 4 yards. So you have to choose one of the unity fractions, choose the one that makes sense, that puts the unit on the other side of the division problem when you're multiplying across. So hopefully that made sense, and we'll look at the next one. So to convert 44 ounces to pounds, you need to remember that 1 pound equals 16 ounces, or 16 ounces equals 1 pound. So which one do we want to choose here? Well, let's see. 44 ounces puts ounces on top of the problem, and so that means we want to choose 1 pound over 16 ounces because ounces are going to cancel, and that says 44 times 1 pound over 16 is going to give us 44 over 16 pounds, and from there we can go ahead and say, because that's a pretty ugly fraction, doesn't tell us a whole lot, and we can say 16 goes into 44 twice at 32 with 12 remaining, so we can say it's 2 pounds and 12 ounces remaining because it's 12 out of 16, and that's going to be our final answer. So let's work our next example here, and it might have an unfamiliar term to some of you, a rod, which equals 16.5 feet. It's a term used in some technical fields, and a yard equals 3 feet. The problem wants you to convert 11 yards to rods and then multiply as follows. And so what we're going to start with is, okay, let's look at 11 yards. And now we need to find the unity fraction that is going to help us convert this into rods. And so remember what we want to do, or excuse me, to convert yards into rods. So what we want to do is we want to end up with rods down at the end. And so what we can say is, all right, well, we know that if we have 11 yards and we're trying to get rods, so we need 1 rod on top, which equals 16.5 feet. So now that way, I'm going to end up with rods at the end. And now I have feet on the bottom, and I have to get rid of the feet. So I know of a different unity fraction that's either 1 yard equals 3 feet or 3 feet equals a yard. I'm going to go with that one. I'm going to go with 3 feet because now I'm going to be able to cross that out equals 1 yard. And now I'm going to not only be able to cancel out the feet, but now I can cancel out the yards as well, which is going to leave me with rods, which is what I was wanting. And so I'm going to go ahead and multiply all the way across with both of these, and my final answer will be 11 times 3 is 33 over 16.5, and rods is my unit that I'm looking for, and so 33 divided by 16.5 is 2 rods, and that's my final answer for that one. So looking at this next problem, the example is that the average American consumes about 44.7 gallons of soft drinks per year. Whew. Seems to be a high number, but if that's what it's reporting. And the question is how many 12-ounce fluid cans, or how many 12-ounce cans will this actually be? So let's look at the problem. We know that we are going to want to end up with fluid ounce cans down on this end. And so what we have to start with, well, we have 44.7 gallons of soft drinks, and when we look over here at our table, we can say, okay, well, there's several different choices we have to be able to make unity fractions. We have there's ounces here, there's ounces here, there's ounces here, and there's ounces here. But this one in particular gives us gallons and ounces, so let's go with that to make that a unity fraction. And so we're going to say, all right, because we're starting off with gallons, we have 44.7 gallons, and we'll use it to multiply times the unity fraction of 1 gallon is 128 fluid ounces, but I'm going to say 128 fluid ounces, just say over 1 gallon, because to me that's going to be better, because now I can have it to where the gallons cancel out and I'm left with ounces on top. So just what I wanted. Go ahead and multiply these across, and I'm going to end up with, let me get my calculator here. Let's see, 44.7 times 128 is 5,721.6 fluid ounces. All right. Nope, but hold it. Is that the end of my problem? I don't think so, because we go back and read the problem to be able to make sure, and it says how many cans, 12-ounce cans, would this be? So let's go ahead and set this up again, and we're going to say out of 5,721.6 ounces of cans, if we divide this by 12-ounce cans, which is going to cancel our ounces, then we will go ahead and do the math on this one. And let's look at this, and it says $5,721.6 divided by 12 gives us 476.8 cans. Does that make sense? Does American drink 0.8 of a can? Probably not. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and round this to 477 cans per year, which, again, boy, sounds like a whole lot of pop, but that's what they've come up with. So, all right, so the next slide is just a informational slide. You can find this in your textbook, and you might want to go ahead and take this and copy it somewhere, have it with you for when you're doing some of your problems.